Hi, hi, hi. Hello there, how are you? This is Barry Branton, and I have essentially what you can see here is figure 1.2, and that can be found in section 1 and introduction. Now, this chart that I'm looking at, if I can get the mouse. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to use this chart in figure 1.2. Now it's a little more extensive. If you go to section 1 and look at figure 1.2, they won't have the section title next to the section number. So you really don't know what you're looking at. You just know the number. So then you have to go back and refer to the number. So I basically refined this chart to make it a little more easier. Now I'm going to be going over what do you need to study for your Class A, for general knowledge. Okay, so the way this chart works, and I will go ahead and I guess use let's say green. We're going to look at what we want to study for Class A license. Okay, so Class A. Control Z. Well, let's go and get that. Okay. All right, so for your Class A, this is what you need to study just for general knowledge. Actually, not for general knowledge, but for the Class A license. Now, ultimately, for your written part, remember that the exams are broken into two different types. You've got the written exams, and you've got the skills exams. So right now, you're primarily concerned with the written exam. So let's go ahead and look at the what is needed for the Class A written exams for general knowledge. Now, I suggest that you study these three here, and additionally, I would study the combination vehicles, because that may be in the general knowledge exam. And since tractor trailers, they all have air brakes, you might as well study the air brakes too, just so you have some foundational knowledge. Okay, so so basically what you see in purple, I would suggest studying for the general knowledge exam. Now, could you get away with not studying air brakes? Probably. Could you get away with not studying combination vehicles? Probably. But you're going to have to take let's see here. Well, they don't have it as an endorsement. So what I would do is I would definitely study combination vehicles. For Class A, you want to study you want to study these right here, and combination vehicles right here. Okay, and you're going to need air brakes too, but you could probably get away with just doing these four sections here. Section 1, introduction. Section 2, driving safely. Section 3, transporting cargo safely. And Section 6, combination vehicles. The most difficult section of all of those four is going to be driving safely, because it's a very long section, 23 subsections. Okay, so that's just for the general knowledge. Now, if you're going to be transporting cargo, you're depending on you've got these endorsements here. Now, if you want to say transport hazardous materials, you would need like gasoline, which pays pretty good. You would need this. Let me just. You would need this one here. This. Just bear with me a second. You would need this hazardous material endorsement. Now, if you're going to be driving, and you would also need this tank vehicle endorsement right here. Maybe I should change that out with a different color. So, if you're transporting gasoline, you need hazardous materials. You need tank vehicles. And, excuse me. Okay, I'm sorry about that. All right, so we're back to recording. Tank vehicles, if you're hauling gasoline or some flammable material. So you need hazardous materials and tank vehicles. And while you're at it, you might as well get your, I'll just do a different color. You might as well get your doubles and triples right there. And of course, you're going to need air brakes. If you're driving an 18-wheeler, most vehicles have air brakes, so that's section 5. So, but just for your general knowledge, for your written exam, Class A, what do you need? I would go with these. Well, that looks pretty terrible. Let me try that again. These sections here. And I've heard that there are some combination vehicle questions on the Class A, so I would study this one here. And as for there being general air brake questions on the general knowledge, I wouldn't chance it. I would go ahead and study that. So you're looking at 5 sections starting off with, and that's just for the general knowledge. So there'll be a copy of this chart in the description of this video that you can download. Now let's go ahead and clear these out and start over again. We're going to look at Class B, which is what I had. I drove a school bus. So for Class B, you're going to need, just for the study material, I'm not talking about the skills test, just study your written part. You're going to need this right here. You're going to need to study section 1, 2, and 3 right here. And as I said, the most difficult one that you're going to have is going to be the driving safely. By far, again, that is because it's 23 subsections. Now, for driving a school bus, I had to take you have to take the school bus endorsement, and you have to take the passenger endorsement. Required for studying for the passenger endorsement, you need to make sure that you have studied driving safely. Now, irregardless, for your passenger endorsement and your school bus endorsement, and also for your general knowledge skills test, we're talking skills test, you're going to need, this is after you've passed the written test, you're going to need to study Section 11, pre-trip vehicle inspection, and Section 12, basic vehicle control skills test, and Section 13, on-road skills test. You need that for the general knowledge part, and you need that for your endorsement. Okay? All right, so this would be the school bus if you're going to drive a school bus. Okay? So what do you need? You need Class B. And some school buses, not all, the majority I don't believe are air brakes. Most are hydraulic. But there are school districts that have air brakes, and you're going to need an air brakes endorsement, or it's basically, you could call it an endorsement. You need to take the air brakes exam, which I have videos that cover air brakes. I have videos that cover school bus endorsement. I have videos that cover the passenger endorsement. I even have videos that cover combination vehicles and doubles and triples. So that's for a school bus. Now let's take a look at what you would need for, saying, driving a municipal city bus. Okay, so again, what you would need is these first three. This is just for the written part. You would need the introduction, driving safely, transporting cargo. So B and C, you need that. You're probably going to need air brakes because you're going to need air brakes. Municipal city buses are air brakes. Okay, you're going to need your passenger. So here's what you need to study for your passenger endorsement. And you're going to need to be able to, for all of those, well, I would say not Class A. You could have one. But you're going to need to study pre-trip vehicle inspection, basic vehicle control skills test, and on-road driving. Now this is for after you've done taken the exam, the written exam, general knowledge, passenger, and air brakes. So generally, when you go to take your exam, you should know what type of vehicle you're going to be driving. In fact, what I recommend is, say you don't have a CDL, you've never driven before. The easiest way, I believe, to get trained, if you are in a school district that has a shortage of school bus drivers, now that's how I got in, and it didn't really cost me anything. What did I have to pay out of pocket to drive a school bus, which allowed me to get my CDL? I had to pay for the license, which was about $50, and I had to pay for the MEC, the medical exam certificate, or a medical examiner certificate. That's what you need. They check you to make sure that you're okay, that you are able to operate a vehicle. You have to get a physical exam by a qualified person. So that was pretty expensive. That cost. Now I went to a specialist, a chiropractor who was qualified in doing that. Normally you can get a low ball done by I think they're called ARVNs, or advanced nurse practitioner. I think my company had a special deal where you could get it for, say, under $40. But I wanted to go where I had a little more, I knew the chiropractor. So, of course, I paid $80, but it was worth it. It's more customized, more personalized. They're not in a rush. So, I would recommend going to your unless you can't afford it, But you get your MEC. So I recommend getting your job first, in the school bus route. Go get the job, even if you don't have the CDL. Then they'll ask you to study these sections here, and they may actually have I don't know what to say. Basically, they may have a study program there, or a training program for the written part. Now, when I went to study at the school bus company that I got a job, I worked there for 3 years. Basically, they gave me a manual. They said, go get your MEC, and study. They gave me a manual, and they said, study these 3 sections. They highlighted section 1, 2, and 3. They highlighted the school bus endorsement, and they highlighted the passenger endorsement. which is this one here. So what did I have to study? I had to study sections 1 through 4 and section 10. Now, when I passed the written exam, then they said, well, they told me, after you've passed your written exams, your general knowledge, your passenger and your school bus, then come back to us and we'll start training you on the skills test, which I basically went out with a company trainer, and the person showed me how to do a basic pre-trip vehicle inspection, externally and internally. You've got to do them both. And also, once I was able, you kind of do all three at the same time. So it's just memorization. We would also do backing up tests and parking tests and that sort of thing. You actually you demonstrate it. And then on-road driving. I was actually driving my route, which I didn't know it at the time, but I was practicing on. And of course, I had to study sections 11, 12, and 13. So that's my my recommendation. Now, once you acquire your Class B CDL, what I recommend is go get a job. Say you've been there, say 3, 4, or 5 years. Inquire about becoming a municipal city bus driver. You can do it because you've already got basically all the endorsements. The only endorsement you need is the air brakes endorsement, and that's I've got videos for that. So there you have it. Now this video has been going on for about 17 minutes. I hope this was able to help you. If you like this content, please give me a thumbs up and leave a comment. Also, please consider subscribing to my channel. I suggest it for anyone who wants to. Maybe you're in a rut. You're in a job that you don't really like. Say you have a job where you have to stand on your feet all day long. Working at a McDonald's, or probably shouldn't say McDonald's, but a burger place, okay? Or any type of restaurant or in the store where you're expected to be on your feet 8 hours a day. Driving a school bus, you're sitting down. So it's a lot easier. You do have to stand up some, but for the most part, you do your vehicle, you go to your job, your route pretty much stays the same. They do make changes. You might have a few extra stops. You might lose a few stops, or you might have to do a different route. But it's pretty much the same. If you stay with the same route, you're doing the same path. You're driving the same path. Usually the only thing that changes is the weather and the different students that get on the bus. So, and it takes maybe two hours to drive the route. And if you can do maybe 2-3 hours, depending on the size of the route and how far you have to drive. So I recommend to get your CDL without a lot of cost out of your pocket, go the school bus route. You don't even need your CDL. Just apply. It helps if you had some prior driving experience. Now, luckily, I was, before they had the CDL, I had a chauffeur's license. I drove a beer truck. So I knew how to back up big trucks. But that's my suggestion. Go with becoming a school bus driver. And, they have a shortage of them. So they're looking for good people. And as long as your record's clean and you're responsible and you're in good health, I highly suggest it. So thanks for watching this video. We'll try to get some more out later. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.